Night had fallen as 3 apprentices lay curled outside their den. Riverpaw did not speak, watching her friends closely. Echopaw continued to shift in place, her expression one of frustration. Stonepaw stared at his tail. "We could take the secret path and sneak out following the lake," Echopaw finally meowed. "She'll have someone watching the camp. We won't make it to the path without being seen or scented," Stonepaw countered quietly. "Then what about the dirt place? We use our city trick and cover our scent. Then we stick to the shadows and hope no one wonders why there's stench tracked all over the camp?" Echopaw. "Lightstar will probably have Blackpool and Tigersong watching the entrance to the apprentice den. We won't even get out of our nests without them knowing," Stonepaw meowed, and Echopaw let out a hiss of frustration. "Why do you have to be so logical? Pessimistic? I'm just looking at the facts, all right? Last time we got away with it because no one expected us to try. This time, everyone knows we're going to. Especially after you strolled up to Lightstar and just asked. There's no harm in asking. There is if you really want to go. Guys!" Riverpaw raised her voice, silencing the two. "Maybe you should just stay here." "What?" Echopaw turned to Riverpaw, bewildered. "It's dangerous, all right? And we're still apprentices, so..." "River, if you go, we all go. We swore we would always..." "I know, Echopaw. I'm sorry, but this isn't like last time. If you do manage to sneak out of camp, the punishment will be much more severe. You may never become a warrior. There's just no way. I'm sorry." Riverpaw hung her head, fighting the lump in her throat. She pictured herself leaving the camp, watching them disappear behind her. Even if it wasn't forever, it was difficult to imagine she wouldn't have them by her side, and in strange territory with strange cats. "I'm not scared," the she-cat thought bitterly. "Warriors don't get scared, and they don't cry just because their friends have to stay behind. I'm not some weakling." Stonepaw and Echopaw were silent. Finally, it was Stonepaw who spoke. "I agree with Riverpaw." His sister gritted his teeth. "You mouse-brained! If Riverpaw doesn't want us to go, and we're facing impossible odds, why risk it? Echopaw, try to see reason. We'll just have to sit this one out." The tortoiseshell cat's voice failed, and she simply lashed her tail. Whipping around, she pushed her way into the den, leaving Stonepaw and Riverpaw alone. "Thank you for understanding," Riverpaw murmured. "You're right, is all. It's best we stay here this time." Without another word, the Grey Tom followed his sister inside. Riverpaw stared after him for a moment, confused by a feeling of disappointment. She turned her gaze toward the stars, watching as dark foliage swayed and shielded Silverpelt from view. "Forerunner, you better be right, or my peace was ruined for nothing." When Riverpaw slept that night, she had a dream. Unlike her other dreams, this one was unclear, and far too disorienting to understand. The she-cat was standing in the middle of a bleak, black void. There was no light, no ground. The weight of the darkness seemed to crush her from everywhere at once, and she wished there was something, anything, she could hold on to keep her sanity. Then a flash of red lit the void in front of her. With a surge of hope, she raced forward, surprised to find herself moving despite the lack of solid ground. The red light grew larger and larger, and then suddenly, Riverpaw was somewhere else entirely. She was looking out over a forest, balancing on a thin brick wall. As her eyes remained fixed ahead, she could feel and smell dozens of cats flood over the wall and creep into the forest, extending like one huge shadow through the trees. Her heart began racing faster and faster as she felt the shadow expand, reaching even further. A voice echoed in her ear, muttering words she couldn't quite make out. Then she was standing in an open field of grass, gazing up at a night sky full of shimmering stars. There were so many of them, more than she had ever seen before, and as she continued to stare at the distant specks, they began to gather, slowly forming a shape, but before the stars could complete the shape, the vision faded as well. Riverpaw now stood on the peak of a high mountain. She balanced on the edge of a thin ledge, wind buffeting her sides. and pebbles falling into bottomless pits on either side as her claws sought for a grip. Whispers filled the air, and her fur crawled as an eerie wail split the air. "What are you saying?" she cried, but the wind whipped her words away. She woke. "Riverpaw, are you coming?" Riverpaw looked up at Ashheart, standing beside Lightstar at the entrance to the bramble tunnel. Her mouth tasted sour from the lingering tang of traveling herbs, and her paws trembled with fear and anticipation. "Yes," she replied. He nodded and followed Lightstar out of the camp. The scent of the forest enveloped the three, sunlight dappling their fur, dried leaves crackling under paw as they hurried between the great oak trunks, slipping through the undergrowth. "I know you're disappointed your friends couldn't come along," Ashheart meowed as they walked. Riverpaw looked up to find her mentor's amber eyes staring down at her. "But please look at it this way. Your friends will be able to perform their duties and defend their clan. They need to realize that back there," he gestured toward the ThunderClan camp, now far out of view as they reached the WindClan border, "is where they should be." "I know," Riverpaw murmured. The words came out barely audible, but Ashheart did not seem to mind. With a nod, he turned his gaze forward once more. "We will arrive at the meeting place soon." Lightstar meowed from ahead of them. Riverpaw looked up. They had crossed over the small stream separating the clans, and now the trees thinned. With the mountains rising in the distance, hills of moorland stretched out before the cats. A strong breeze whipped at their fur as they bounded forward. Although this was enemy territory, Lightstar kept a purposeful pace, unafraid of confrontation. Riverpaw's heart sank with every step. Not only was she leaving her friends behind, she was about to meet 6 new cats whom she would be forced to spend every day with. And they will all be older than me, Riverpaw thought. I have to make sure to perform well as a member of ThunderClan. I cannot let Ashheart down. Taking a breath, Riverpaw lifted her head and pushed her apprehensive feelings aside. I can't complain. They will be 6 experienced warriors who will help me save my brother. The full realization that she was leaving the clans was beginning to settle in her mind. It wasn't completely terrifying, seeing as she had lived the first half of her life away from the clans. But Riverpaw had marked the forest as her home, her territory. She had found peace there. Ahead, Lightstar stopped. She looked around at Ashheart, green eyes steady. "The meeting place is just ahead. We agreed on that gnarled tree. It marks the edge of WindClan territory." Riverpaw nodded, setting her shoulders and trying to look confident. The gnarled tree sat alone on an otherwise empty hill. If one looked closely, a few small figures could be seen beside it. The ThunderClan cats approached, heads high, and Riverpaw finally got a good look at the other chosen cats. "Greetings," Lightstar called out to announce their arrival. Riverpaw recognized the 3 clan leaders, Owlstar of WindClan, Rainstar of RiverClan, and Fallenstar of ShadowClan. They dipped their heads in reply to Lightstar's greeting. "I see that we all have arrived, then." "Took you long enough, Lightstar, considering my warriors and I had the longest distance to travel," Fallenstar meowed, head held high. Without allowing the ThunderClan leader to excuse herself, the ginger she-cat waved her tail at 2 warriors sitting behind her. "Allow me to introduce the 2 ShadowClan warriors, chosen by their clan for this mission. This is Featherfall." A cream-colored tabby she-cat dipped her head, blue eyes clear and confident. Riverpaw was surprised by the she-cat's size. "She looks no bigger than a newly made apprentice. And this is Wolfclaw," Fallenstar finished. The dark red Tom stepped forward. His expression was unreadable as he dipped his head, but Riverpaw thought she saw his yellow eyes narrow as he looked at her. Rainstar stepped forward. "May I present RiverClan's warriors, Rowan Shadow and Ginger Pelt." Rowan Shadow, a dark ginger tabby Tom, dipped his head. Next to him, Ginger Pelt, a light brown she-cat with darker brown patches, nodded as well. Riverpaw's gaze flicked between the 2, and she realized that they were sitting quite close to each other. Perhaps they are siblings. Or mates? She leaned toward the latter. WindClan is sending warriors Mosslegs and Duskfall. Owlstar spoke up as the 2 RiverClan warriors stepped back. Mosslegs, a tortoiseshell she-cat, lowered her eyes shyly and dipped her head. Her clanmate Duskfall, a dark gray Tom, stood and bowed low as if the gesture were a joke. As he straightened, he winked at Featherfall, who rolled her eyes. Riverpaw stiffened as the WindClan Tom turned and winked at her as well. "ThunderClan has chosen Ashheart and his apprentice Riverpaw," Lightstar meowed. Ashheart dipped his head respectfully, and Riverpaw, pelt burning under the gaze of the other cats, followed his example. May I ask why ThunderClan is sending an apprentice on such a dangerous journey? Fallen Star meowed. Riverpaw felt a flash of embarrassment and irritation as Fallen Star eyed her contemptuously. Riverpaw received a vision from StarClan that relates to this mission, Lightstar informed them. The other cats muttered. They told her that her brother is in the mountains, and that he is in danger. The mutterings faded. Riverpaw noticed Gingerpelt flash her a sympathetic glance. Very well, Rainstar said. His green gaze traveled across the assembled cats. It seems we have our chosen 8. Everyone murmured agreement. Then we should return to our clans while these cats head west, Owlstar meowed, standing. Yes, Lightstar said. But first, let us make clear the meaning of this journey. The cats gathered around Lightstar, and with a nod from the other leaders, she began. We should all know about StarClan's message to our medicine cats, warning us of trouble in the tribe of Rushing Water. Clan cats have not had any contact with the tribe for many seasons, but we once took shelter with them during the Great Journey, and we all remember the tribe's ancestors' aid in the battle against the Dark Forest. Riverpaw glanced at the other cats, who all nodded somberly. Lightstar continued. We do not know what exactly is wrong with the tribe, but we do know that StarClan never does anything without reason. It is possible that helping the tribe now could save all the clans later. Therefore, this mission is extremely important. Your clans depend on you now, and we all look forward to your return. As Lightstar fell silent, Riverpaw felt her paws prick with determination. The eyes of the assembled cats were alive with anticipation and pride. Are you all ready? Fallen Star meowed. Yes, the 8 cats responded. Then your clan leaders declare this mission has begun. Good luck on your journey. Riverpaw followed her mentor and the other 6 cats away from the gnarled tree, stepping out of the clan's territory. When the traveling party reached the top of a large hill, a few of them glanced back. The lake, shimmering in the sunlight, was now quite far behind them, and Riverpaw noticed the other cats' tails twitching with nervous excitement. For most of the group, this would be their first time leaving home. Riverpaw glanced at Ashheart and was surprised to find his calm face was alive with enthusiasm. Riverpaw, do you realize that we are walking the same route the 4 clans took generations ago? During the Great Journey, then, when the 3 went to help the tribe against the gang of rogues, my own grandfather stood here. As Ashheart talked, Riverpaw felt the tension in her shoulders relax slightly. It was a relief to have the Tom acting so naturally, being his history-obsessed self. She inhaled deeply, looking ahead at the distant peaks. They rose, cold and foreign, yet Riverpaw could not help feeling a sudden spark of excitement. For the first time, she viewed the journey as an adventure, an opportunity to see more of the world. How big is the world? Are there more clans out there? More tribes? More gangs in other cities? Riverpaw looked up at the sky, dotted with soft clouds. They looked so small, those clouds. Yet as the silver-striped cat turned her gaze to the rolling fields, she saw her shadows stretching for miles. As the group continued forward, the other warriors kept their eyes focused straight ahead, not even seeming to notice one another. Riverpaw could feel the tension between them. It was clear that, although they were being sent as one group, they were still warriors of 4 different clans. Beyond the moors lay large expanses of farmland, interrupted here and there by forests, roads, and 2-leg nests. Riverpaw found herself charting the best way to the mountain. We need to avoid the 2-leg places, she thought, suppressing a shiver, and keep to the trees. I know for a fact that 2-legs aren't used to seeing groups of cats walking around. We'd be best not to draw attention to ourselves. Riverpaw wondered if her thoughts were worth sharing with the others. She glanced at Ashheart, remembering his rules. In a quiet voice, she addressed her mentor. Should we head toward the trees over there? It may be best to avoid the fields. 2-legs sometimes let their dogs out around those places. Ashheart paused, looking at the fields ahead. Not a bad suggestion, Riverpaw. The Tom raised his voice so the other cats could hear. We best avoid the field and travel under the cover of those trees. Don't want to draw the attention of any 2-legs or their dogs if we can help it. The other clan's warriors stopped and looked at the Tom. Oh, so ThunderClan's gonna take charge already? Try being less predictable, prey stealer. Featherfall sneered. Ashheart's fur bristled, but the Tom kept a neutral tone. I am simply making a suggestion. You don't have to be so rude, Featherfall, Gingerpelt spoke up indignantly. I'm sure he was trying to help. Yeah, well, you can shut up too. Trust RiverClan to team up with them. Featherfall snapped. Gingerpelt's hackles raised as she gritted her teeth, blue eyes flashing. Featherfall, Wolfclaw warned softly. The fiery, cream she-cat whipped around, eyes forward once again, and continued down the slope, tail high. For a moment, no one talked, then Mosslegs of WindClan mewed quietly. It's a fine idea, but it will be faster going through the field. We just have to be stealthy. Sorry. I don't mean to take charge or anything. Just saying. Duskfall bumped his clanmate's shoulder. You're doing fine, Mossy. I agree. Let's go straight wherever possible. The other cats murmured agreement and followed Featherfall down the slope. Riverpaw stared at them, partly shocked and partly furious. Were these cats so against teamwork, they couldn't even see the sense in such a suggestion? When Stonekit and Echokit were with me, they always heard what I had to say. They never shut me down like that unless they were positive it was a bad idea. These cats are less mature than 2 ThunderClan kids. The she-cat jumped slightly as Ashheart laid his tail on her shoulders. Let it go, Riverpaw. This early in the journey, clans barely cooperate. Right now, I'm sure they're all eager to get to the mountains as fast as possible. At least there will be other cats around, so we don't have to talk to each other very much. But even I know we have to communicate. Riverpaw began angrily, and Ashheart silenced her with a flick of his tail. Like I said, let it go. We deal with the situation as it is for now. They'll settle down. Riverpaw grumbled to herself as the 2 cats started forward again. They joined the rest of the party and made their way into the fields. The sun was high overhead, beaming down on them from between the tall corn stalks. In the distance, the sound of a 2-legged monster could be heard, but the cats continued forward nonetheless. They made it out of the field without any encounters and swerved warily around the barns and buildings. In the afternoon, they stopped to hunt, eating their catch silently in pairs of 2. Riverpaw attempted to swallow her frustration along with her mouse, but it obviously wasn't going down. The she-cat was beginning to see how ironic it was that she wanted teamwork so much. After all, she had always felt better working alone, and struggled in a large group. Yet now, she saw the sense in it. They were on this journey with a joint purpose, so it only made sense to work together. Still, the first day passed in almost complete silence, as the 8 cats settled down for the night. Rowan Shadow finally spoke up. I'll take the first watch. We'll probably need 2 others for the night. Switching so we all get our sleep. I'll take second, Duskfall meowed. He glanced at Featherfall and grinned. Want to stay up with me, beautiful? The Shadow Clan she-cat flattened her ears. We're from different clans, Mousebrain. But clans mean nothing in the face of love. The cream-colored warrior sprang to her paws, bristling, but before she could say a word, Duskfall raised a paw with a light-hearted smile. Calm down, little beauty. I'm only messing around. We all need to lighten up a bit. The other cats shook their heads in exasperation, and Gingerpelt leaned toward Mosslegs. Is he always like this? Unfortunately so, the Calico she-cat sighed. Wolfclaw took the third watch, and they all settled into makeshift nests. Riverpaw curled between the roots of an oak tree. From her resting place, she saw Rowan Shadow take position on the top of a small rise. After a moment, Gingerpelt padded up to him. They exchanged few words, and the light ginger she-cat licked his forehead softly. They touched noses, and Gingerpelt strode to the base of the birch tree, where she settled down for the night. Riverpaw closed her eyes, waiting for sleep to come, and wondered if Duskfall's sense of humor would do anything to break the barrier between the cats. Her mind drifted to Echopaw and Stonepaw, and she slipped away with an ache of loneliness in her chest. Hello, Moonshines! So I'm going to go ahead and put a little thing out there right now. As these Scarlet River chapters are getting longer and getting to where they take almost 20 minutes to read at a time, I'm going to split those ones into individual videos for themselves, mainly because I don't want a video getting anywhere between 30 to 40 minutes, as a lot of people don't have that kind of time to sit down, or don't really have that kind of time to sit listening to a audiobook on that kind of task. At least in my opinion, mainly because they have the tendency to switch from one thing to another after about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I've noticed with a lot of people that I'm friends with. So, for the next bit, so long as the Scarlet River chapters reach about 20 minutes in recording, I'm going to leave it as just that one chapter on its own instead of doubling them up like I had been because of how short they were. So for now, this is how it's going to be with this story. And if you enjoyed the double ones, I'm sorry. If you would have been fine with a longer video, I'm sorry. I just don't want it getting too long or too much to listen to at once.